What's good, Flix Fam? It's Jay here, and we're going back to the flicks with 1990's Total Recall. Now listen, 1990s, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a staple in most of our action movies. The muscles, the explosions, the chaos, and of course the one-liners. Total Recall was peak action movie, but as an adult, this is like a straight-up identity horror wrapped in a sci-fi blockbuster. And once it gets started, this movie never stops long enough to let us breathe. Get it? Because they need the oxygen? Never mind. But that's a good thing. The paranoia, the corporate control, and your reality getting remixed on the spot. And it's all at full speed. So come on and join me as I run it back. I'll cover what holds up, what hits different, and why this movie still messes with your brain. Flix Fam, is it real life or is it recall? Let's get into it. So grab your popcorn, your snacks, and your drink, and let's get back to the flicks.
Let's take a trip down memory lane. So hop in the whip, let's ride the wave. Destination set where classics were born. So kick up your feet and grab the popcorn. Blockbuster movies that swept the nation. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification.
We open with Doug Quaid having a vivid dream. He's on Mars, walking across rocky terrain with a woman he doesn't recognize. And the moment feels intense, like he's been there before. He wakes up in a future-style apartment next to his wife, Lori. Quaid is a regular working guy with a blue-collar job, a commute, and a routine that feels stable on the surface. At work, he talks to his coworker Larry and keeps circling back to one thing: Mars. It's not casual curiosity. He talks about it like it's pulling him. Alright, right out the gate, this movie is showing us two things without having to spell it out. One, Quaid's Mars obsession isn't a hobby, it's a compulsion. It's not like he's just saying, oh man, Mars is cool, I'd want to visit there sometime. He's saying, Mars is calling me. And two, Lori's reaction isn't just the reaction of a wife who doesn't like risky things. It's the reaction of somebody who's trying to keep a tight lid on something. Even as a first watch, you can see she's not just steering something, she's disregarding something entirely. And also, I love the way the sets look. It's not super futuristic and glossy, it's very lived in. It's like a working class future. You still go to work, you still have bills, and you still have a spouse telling you to stop doing weird stuff. And that all sets up a foundation of a believable world. And it's so crazy how a movie from 1990 can predict so many things that we do today. A lot of the experiences we have are through screens, not just through TVs and mobile devices, but through virtual reality headsets. VR travel, an algorithm curated dream destination. So I can kind of get why Quaid will feel connected to a place he thinks he's never been. Total Recall just takes that scenario and turns it into a whole plot. It's just that this one dream feels a little bit too real. Quaid goes to Rekall, a company that sells memory vacations, adventures you can experience without physically going anywhere. Inside, the staff explains that customers can choose a whole fantasy lifestyle: romance, danger, a hero mission. Quaid chooses a secret agent adventure that's set on Mars. They walk him through the details like it's a product. They sit him in a specialized chair, place sensors, and start the procedure. It begins calmly until Quaid suddenly panics. Something goes wrong and Quaid reacts. The staff tries to restrain him and shut the process down, and the scene flips from friendly sales pitch to full emergency. Recall feels less like a high-class memory spa and more like a used car dealership. They're selling brain manipulation like it's a theme park package, and the scene really doesn't go too deep into the controls of all this. Like, how trained is this staff? How updated is the equipment? What's the success to failure ratio? What exactly am I getting into? Because when it goes wrong, they're a little bit too comfortable going into containment mode. And you have to start to think, man, how many times has this happened? I like the subtle glimpse of them showing Quaid going to sleep, but then on the second hand saying that they never actually started the procedure. That raises doubts in all of our head, and we still have the question whether this is real or recall. Put in the comments how many years you think it's going to take before we start to do memory manipulation. I can't wait to have that conversation. After the incident, Quaid is rushed out and he's confronted by men insisting that he comes with them. Immediately, a fight breaks out and Quaid reacts with skills he shouldn't have. He escapes and is confused by how capable he is suddenly. He runs straight home, thinking this is the safest place. Lori initially appears supportive, but then she turns on him fast. She tries to stop him from leaving and it becomes a brutal fight in their apartment. Quaid manages to escape, realizing that his home life may have been a lie this entire time and that the person closest to him may be working against him. Unlike a lot of classic action movies, this movie skips the montage. He goes from the everyday man to commando, being able to take out that many guys in the blink of an eye and terrifying yourself. And you can see it in this slight transformation. He doesn't have that superhero confidence yet. He's legit worried. And when something like this in life scares you so much, who's the first person you think you can go to? Your spouse. And you'd be right most of the time. But Lori went ahead and threw us a curveball. You go home to be comforted by your wife, and you don't know that you're walking up to Terminator with some LA gears on. And the choreography in this is pretty decent because you can actually see the areas that she's attacking them would probably do some damage. But in the end, you can kind of tell that he's taking it easy on her because she's still his wife and he doesn't want to hurt her. Not until the truth comes out, at least. On the run, Quaid gets some tips from what seems to be a reliable source. He picks up the hidden stash, which is a briefcase filled with cash, fake IDs, and gadgets. Inside is a recorded message from a man who looks like him, speaking directly to him, telling him what to do next. The message gives clear instructions, where to go, who to meet, and that he needs to get to Mars. Quaid doesn't have answers, but now he has direction. He follows the message because it's the only solid thread he has in a situation where everything else is collapsing. Now that the chaos in Quaid's life is peaking, whatever source that provides you with the plan kind of becomes your anchor. If it's shady, dangerous, or not really plausible, as long as the message is calm, confident, and specific, it's easier to buy into it. And that's why Quaid goes all in. And I miss these old school gadgets, man. They don't really have to make perfect sense. You explain the premise and we run with it. So when you're looking at a video of you tell you to go deep up inside your nose and pull a massive probe out, I guess you just do it, right? I also want to know, in today's day and age, how much would you trust a message from yourself? If you came on and explained something only a way that you knew you could, would you trust you? Go ahead, put it in the comments. Quaid moves through public spaces while being hunted. He uses the tools from the briefcase to avoid being identified, navigating crowds, checkpoints, and the transit system. He stays on the move, constantly checking over his shoulder, following the message's instructions step by step. Eventually, he reaches the spaceport and boards transport off Earth. The obsession becomes reality. Quaid is going to Mars, not as a tourist, but as a man trying to outrun whatever he woke up inside of him. Total Recall predicted being digitally trackable before it was even a thing. This movie's grounded future feels so real. Crowds, public transit, surveillance everywhere. Nobody really has to tell you you're being watched. And this disguise Quaid puts on is peak sci-fi fun. I can remember first watching it like, where's Quaid? And then you realize he's in this large animatronic woman. I kind of always wonder what this lady felt knowing that her frame was large enough to fit Arnold Schwarzenegger. But anyhow, it's still funny trying to watch Quaid pull this off. Quaid arrives on Mars and the environment hits him immediately. Harsh, crowded, industrial, and heavily policed. He moves through the colony streets where regular people live under the constant control. Quaid heads into the rougher district and meets Melina, the woman from his dream. Melina reacts like she recognizes him, but it's complicated. Their interaction suggests a history that Quaid doesn't remember. Quaid tries to keep up, asking questions and reading reactions, realizing that on Mars, his name and face already means something to people. I've always gotta love when the production design can do a little bit of storytelling without actually having to narrate anything for us. Mars is crowded, it's controlled, and it's tense. And the people look like they're surviving, not thriving. And there's definitely a caste system in effect. So when Quaid gets to the rougher area, we start to see more mutants. And it gives us a little bit more of that Wild West feel. Now, while these aren't Professor X's type of mutants, some of them still have abilities. They're able to create telepathic links. The more mutation you have, the stronger your telepathy. Even though I know some of y'all think having 3 up top is a little bit more of a superpower. But hey, I'm not judging. And when Quaid meets Melina, we're kind of like, does he really know her or are we in Rekall? Another reason why this movie keeps you guessing all the way up to the end. It's kind of like everyone else is having deja vu and you're the only one who doesn't remember. A calm authority figure presents a clean explanation that Quaid is still in Rekall, experiencing the Mars adventure as a memory implantation that has gone terribly wrong. He describes the specific details of Quaid's situation and offers a simple way to end it and return to normal. Quaid hesitates. He listens, studies the room, studies the people around him, and has to decide whether this is the truth or a performance designed to make him give up. And just when we think we got it figured out, the movie throws a wrench in the system. Probably one of the smartest scenes of the movie because it weaponizes logic. You've got an unknown figure who comes in cool, calm, and collected, polite, and confident. And that's what makes it so dangerous because the most effective manipulation isn't loud, it's reasonable. If Quaid makes the wrong choice, his whole reality collapses. Either he takes that pill and wakes up safely, back in the Rekall chair with his loving wife next to him, or he takes that pill and never wakes up again. And that kind of speaks to today, where we have to be a little bit more cautious. Deep fakes, misinformation, and well-produced lies. And with the advancements of AI, everything we see we have to question first, no matter how real it seems. Quaid gets pulled into the underground side of Mars and meets the mutant community living outside the system. He's taken to Quaid, a resistance leader who explains the political system on Mars, the role of the colony leadership, and why Quaid matters to what's coming next. Before the plan can settle, security forces close in. The hideout becomes a firefight. Quaid Quaid escapes with Melina, now with the clear sense that Mars is bigger than his personal mystery, and that he's standing in the middle of a conflict already in motion. Man, I'll never forget when he turned around and Quaid was in his abdomen. And as always, I gotta give a shout out to the special effects. I love it. This is the kind of creature work that sticks with us because it's so physical. What makes these effects so good is the performance plus the engineering. Watching something perform under the same conditions as the actors. And with Quaid and the rest of the resistance leaning so heavily in Quaid's direction, it kind of leads to this is reality. This is no longer propaganda, this is his lived experience. Because if Quaid was actually a double agent, wouldn't Quaid be one of the first ones to realize it? The story pushes into its endgame. Quaid learns more about his identity and why multiple groups want him. The villain tightens control of the colony, raising the stakes for everyone living there. Quaid and Melina move through Mars under heavier pursuit, following leads that point towards an ancient alien system tied to the planet's future. This chase is no longer just survival. Quaid is now moving towards a major decision that could change Mars itself. And now we're getting closer to the movie's big blockbuster payoffs. This also lets us know that the large corporations understood the potential this machine had to benefit all of Mars. But anybody who can control the resources controls the people. Now that I think about it, a lot of these older movies are always trying to tell us something like this. There's got to be something to it, but I digress. You know how we all love that last fight scene. I love how Quaid's still using the gadgets to take out big mobs, and we know the bad guy has to go out in the worst way. Quaid reaches the alien reactor system and activates it. The colony reacts as the environment begins to change. Pressure and atmosphere effects hit the surface and the people struggle against the force as the transformation spreads. When the chaos settles, Quaid and Melina reunite and take in what's happening. The film ends on them, leaving the final question hanging. Was this reality? Or was it a perfect memory, acting exactly as designed? And practical effects like this, again, are famous for a reason, because they don't make them like this anymore. Because the physicality of that loss of pressure sequence, chef's kiss. I always get the most enjoyment when it's terrifying and hilarious. Even though that we can tell this movie is a little bit dated, the craftsmanship is undeniable. And the conversation of terraforming is still a real one. And now that the playing field on Mars is level with the introduction of an atmosphere, where do you think they go from here? Go ahead and put it in the comments. Alright Flix Fam, that was 1990's Total Recall. Now you tell me, when we got to the end, was that real or was that recall? And if you could buy one memory, just one, what would it be? And if you like this review, go ahead and check out my previous ones. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, and share it with somebody who you know loves retro reviews. And don't be afraid to get active in the community posts. So again, my name is Jay, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time when we get back to the flicks.
We're going back to the flicks, rewind the mix. 80s flicks, family ties in the Netflix fix. Reliving those days with the little ones amazed in this retro way. Old classics pave the way. Back to the flicks, rewind the mix. 80s flicks, family ties in the Netflix fix. Reliving those days with the little ones amazed in this retro way. Old classics pave the way.